What if every phone call could instantly update your Google Sheet automatically? In this video, I will show you how to build a real-time voice agent using VAPI and Make.com that can answer phone calls, ask structured questions, and send data straight into Google Sheets. So first, what we want to do is we want to create an empty Google Sheet in Google Drive. So if you go to Google Drive, you can create a Google Sheet with any name that you like. So in my case, I've created a Google Sheet with the name inbound lead data. And this Google Sheet has four different columns. So we've got name, phone number, and then service needed, and finally budget range. So once we are done with creating the Google Sheet, step number 2 is to go to make.com and create a new scenario. If you don't have an account in make.com, you can click on the link down below in the description and you can sign up. It's completely free and you also get 1000 free operations per month. So once you have an account in make.com and you log in, you need to create a new scenario. And this scenario will contain three different components. So the first component is custom webhook, and this is the webhook where we're going to publish data to. So when a customer speaks to our voice agent, at the end of the call, this webhook is going to receive all the data from the call. So what you need to do is you need to choose webhooks and then you need to select custom webhook. So when you do that, then a new window will pop up on the screen and then it's going to ask you to provide a name for this webhook. And in my case, I've provided the name inbound lead data and you need to click on the create button, which will be visible on your screen. And what this is going to do is it's going to give you this URL, which you need to save because we will need that in one of the next steps. So once we have created our custom webhook, then the next step is to create a new component and link it to the webhook. And this component comes from Google Sheets, and we need to choose the component for adding a new row. So in this component, there's a lot more different options. So we choose the search method, search by path, then the drive is my drive. The spreadsheet ID is basically the name of the spreadsheet that you created just a moment ago. So in my case, this is inbound lead data. We select the sheet name, which in most cases is sheet 1, unless you manually change the name of the sheet. Then table contains headers, yes, because we have our column names. And what we need to do in here is basically we need to map the data that we receive in the webhook into the different columns. So this is basically populating our Google Sheet, and we need to tell it how it needs to populate every single column that we have. So in our case, the first column, which is column A, is going to contain the name of our inbound lead. And we need to map this to message, tool calls, and then function.arguments.name. And this will be the name of the person who is actually speaking to our voice agent. And we need to repeat the same process for phone number, service needed, and budget range. So you can see service needed, we just pass the service, and then budget range is budget range. And for the phone number, this is something that's coming from a different place. So again, it comes from message, but then in this case, you need to go to customer and then select number. So once you're done with creating this Google Sheets component, then the last step is to create another webhooks component, but this time this will be of type webhook response. And this is just so when VAPI calls the first webhook, then it knows how to process the response successfully. And this is the purpose of this webhook. So it needs to return status 200. And then in the body of this webhook, you've got one item which is called results, and then you need to pass the tool call ID, which is going to come from the first webhook component. and then you can set the result to just empty string. So once we are done with creating the make.com scenario, then the next step in the process is to go to VAPI.ai and create a new voice assistant. If you don't have an account in VAPI.ai, you can click on the link down below in the description. It's completely free to sign up, and you also get $10 free credits, so you can create many different voice agents before you actually need to pay for one. And once you're signed in, what you need to do is you need to go to Assistants on the left hand side, and then you need to hit the button Create Assistant. Then you need to provide a name for your assistant. So in my case, the name is Sunrise Solutions Inbound Agent. And once you have created your assistant, then we need to modify some of the default configurations. So the first configuration that we need to modify is the model. So the model is actually the LLM or the AI behind the voice assistant. And in this case, we're using OpenAI as the provider. And then for model, what we use is we use GPT-4o Mini. And the first message mode, we're saying that the assistant speaks first because obviously this is an inbound voice agent, so the assistant needs to speak first. Then the first message that the assistant is going to say is, "Hello, this is Elliot from Sunrise Solutions. May I have your name?" And this is the interesting part, which is the system prompt. So this system prompt gives detailed instructions on what questions and in what order the AI needs to ask the questions. And as you can see, we're giving the personality of the voice assistant, what the goal of the conversation is, in what order it needs to follow the questions, and then how it needs to behave and what it needs to do during the conversation. And something that's also very important is this block of text in here. So at the end of the call, silently make a call to the inbound lead qualification tool with all the answers. So what this means is at the end of the call, we're going to send all of the information to this tool. So we're going to create this tool, which is going to send the information to the webhook that we created in make.com. And you'll see how you need to create it in a few moments. So once you're done with creating your system prompt, then the next step is to scroll down a little bit and you'll find this section which is called tools. And what you need to do in here is basically you need to open this drop down and click the button to create a new tool. And then this is going to take you to a new page. So I've already created the tool which is called inbound lead qualification. So we're going to look at that next and you will see what information it needs to contain. So this is our tool, inbound lead qualification. So in order to access the full list of tools, what you can do is you can click on the menu on the left hand side, which is tools. And then what you need to do if you want to create a new tool from here, what you can do is you can click on this create tool button and then you need to select a function. So it's basically this custom tool. So once you do this, then you need to provide a name for the tool and then you need to provide description. So if you scroll down a little bit, you will see that there is a section called parameters. And this is basically the information which you can request the voice assistant to send to some sort of an endpoint or an API or a server, if you want to call it. And in our case, what we want to do is we want to collect the name of our customer, the service that they need, the budget range, and their phone number. So in here, what's going to happen is we need to provide all those parameters, and we've marked them as mandatory parameters. you can see that each parameter is of type string. So once you're done with providing all the different parameters, you need to scroll down a little bit and then you will see a section which is called server settings. And this is where you need to paste your server URL. So the server URL will come from the webhook which we created as part of the make.com scenario. So if you remember, I told you that you need to copy the URL and save it somewhere. So you can see that the server URL starts with hook.eu2.make.com. And yeah, so basically what this means is when this function is called, then what's going to happen is this webhook is going to receive all the parameters or all the information that is specified under the parameters section. So at this point, you have two different options on how to test your voice assistant. So option number one, which doesn't require any setup, is to click on this button, which is talk to assistant. And then what this is going to do is it's going to start a conversation in our web browser with our voice assistant, and then you can see the transcription of all the messages, like all the voice messages that you say and everything that the voice assistant replies with. And yeah, so this is the first way on how you can test your voice assistant. And then option number two is to basically link this voice assistant to a phone number. So you can see on the left hand side that there is a menu called phone numbers. So if you click on this option from the menu, you can basically link an existing phone number to your voice agent. And in my case, I have purchased a phone number from Twilio. So Twilio is one of the providers where you can buy a phone number from, and then you can use it to integrate it with different voice agents. So if you haven't watched one of my previous videos, I'm going to add a link somewhere on the screen and you can go and watch this. It explains in great detail how to buy a number from Twilio and how to import it into VAPI. And so what you can do from here is you can, once you have imported your phone number from Twilio, you can select the voice assistant that can be assigned to this number. So basically, when you call this number, then the voice assistant is going to pick up the phone and then the conversation will start. So what we're going to do next is we're going to run this make.com scenario, and I'm going to call the number which I've purchased from Twilio since it's already linked to the voice assistant. And yeah, so let's go ahead and do this. So let me run this scenario.
Hello, this is Elliot from Sunrise Solutions. May I have your name?
Hi, my name is John Smith.
Thank you, John. What service are you interested in?
I'm interested in website automation.
Great choice. What is your estimated budget for this service?
Between $2,000 and $5,000.
Thank you for that information, John. Just to confirm, you are John Smith, interested in website automation with an estimated budget of between $2,000 and $5,000. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you for your time, John. Your information has been recorded. If you have any more questions or need assistance, feel free to reach out. Have a wonderful day.
So this was our first conversation with our voice assistant, and as you noticed, our make.com scenario was triggered successfully and it completed. So now if we go to our inbound lead data spreadsheet, you should see that we have populated this with information automatically based on our make.com scenario. So you see that the name is John Smith, the service needed is website automation, and then the budget range is between $2,000 and $5,000. And then this is the phone number from which I made the call. And if we go back to our make.com scenario, you can see that all the different components were triggered successfully and everything worked as expected. This tutorial is basically laying the foundations for intake systems, appointment booking systems, surveys, feedback collection, voice forms, CRM automations, you name it. If you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get this template, you can join my school community. The link should be down below in the description. If you need any help with creating voice agents, chatbots, or any kind of automations, again, you can join my school community. Thank you very much for your time and see you in the next video.